Okay, see how the horse sees the horse. He just kind of lifted out of his jog. And it's going to be harder for her to loosen her reins. I'd like to see your reins a little bit looser. I'd like to see your hand down in front of the horn. Again, your hand needs to be in front of the horn or right over the horn. Okay, for me, her reins are still too short. Now, you don't want to be on a huge drape, but just go ahead and loosen your reins some so I can give an example. Loosen them more. That's pretty good. Now see how this horse, he's had his little safety net where he's used to those reins being at that length where she's had them. So now when she puts them out there where they need to be, he's going through that invisible boundary in front because he's like, I've had my little safety net this whole time. Now I feel out of my element because these reins are loose. But what she needs to do is just check him back. Just pick him up, slow him down, and then drop your reins back down again. And do that 14 million times. But do that enough times that he starts to get it, and he still has to stay slow on the drape. Okay? But see how he's so comfortable with her helping and hanging, and having that horsemanship rein, that when she went to the correct drape, he was like he was out of jail. He was free then. And that's the trick, is teaching a horse to stay on the drape, but still be responsive to you and still listen to you. Now this horse is so green that we can't expect him to be there yet. So, and she's a lot farther ahead with this horse than she is with this horse. But this horse can jog, and he could actually be a nice all-around horse once he's finished. He's just in kindergarten yet, though, and this horse is like high school. This horse just needs a few tweaks because he's kind of gotten set in his ways and used to the way he's been ridden. Okay, let's walk. And again, when you walk, you can have a little pickup on your transitions, but you don't want to be pulling and yanking, because then again your horse looks like it's not broken. And that's one benefit to the spur buttons, is you can kind of just close your legs and maybe pick your hand up just a wee little bit. And I always say walk and use my voice A. And then you get that really nice smooth downward transition. And what I like to do a lot at home is I like to walk this direction, the second direction, a lot. Because you know how you get to the pen, and then you work your first direction, and you go to reverse, and they come out of the starting gate, So what we do at home is, like when I reverse, I walk, and I walk, and I walk. Or I'll start them this way at home, and walk, and walk, and walk, and walk. And then maybe do something, then come in the middle and do something. And I mix it all up. But I do a lot of walking this direction because that's where they really will anticipate in the class, because they want the class to be over. So, another thing I like to do is stop and stand a lot. And another way to get them to come off of the bit, we talked earlier about taking a hold, letting go, taking a hold, letting go, is stop and back up, or stop and pull one rein or the other and just get them coming off of it. As soon as they come off of it, let them go forward. And what that does is it teaches them to come off the pressure, but it also lifts their back up and gives them a little more self-carriage, and it also gives you a little bit more control and keeps creating that invisible wall. So a lot of times when I'm riding, sometimes I won't load the whole day. I'll just stop, back, pull, trot forward, stop, back up, trot forward, walk, go over some poles. Keep it fresh, because the key to having a good pleasure horse is having all that lift and that bend and that suppleness. It's not walking and jogging and loping on the rail until the cows come home. But when you ask them to do that, they're ready to do that because you've got all the tools in place. All the bending and all the training and all your leg cues. Okay? Any questions? No. And when I say those days, those days are done. The too slow, too behind, too low are completely done. Whether it's a walk, a jog, a low. The rule, I'm glad you brought that up. Her question was, is this walk acceptable? This is a real good pace for the walk. This is a real good pace for the walk. He's too behind, again, because he's green. She's got to hold him a little bit to keep control. But that's what you would call too behind the vertical. That's a major fall. Okay? He's pretty good there. Your tip of your ear DQ. So right there he's better. Over in here he was getting a little bit low. And because he's a lazy kind of horse, he wants to get a pinch nosy. But that doesn't bother me as long as he kind of stays within a little range there. Now if he starts really poking his nose out, then what happens is you lose your frame, you lose your lift. Because he's going to get hollow in the back, okay? And that's where he wants to be because he's so quiet and he's a lazier horse, which makes him good-minded, but then he wants to do it the easy way, which is customary for a quiet horse. And that's what she just did, was kind of lift him back up and say, come on, pay attention, and that's what she needed to do. But no, that walk's acceptable. That crawling walk is gone. It's heavily penalized. Lack of forward motion, like if you reverse and stop, you can't do that anymore. I mean, people used to stop and just sit there and check and stop and check. And you can't stop even one step now. You just do your circle and you have to go right forward. And again, the tip of the ear below the wither is a DQ. Two behind excessively is a DQ. So that's all gone. Yeah, but they rarely do. I mean, every once in a while you get kind of a quirky judge that likes to really well, I will tell you this. Our last couple letters, they're telling us to mix up the pleasure. So you're going to see a lot more mixing it around because they're asking us to do that. But rarely do they say stop and reverse. But if they did, you could pivot. That'd be perfectly fine because they've asked you to stop. But you are going to see them start the opposite direction. There's going to be a lot of changing up in the pleasure. Actually, they started it last year. And really the trainers and exhibitors like it too because it keeps the horses fresh. Then they don't anticipate so much the second direction because they don't know what direction they're starting at. When you change it up all the time, it keeps them fresh and they don't get so sour. So they are asking us to change the order and mix it up a little bit. Start in the opposite. Yeah, they're going to ask you, go to the right first, then reverse. And they might even have you reverse back again. And they said we can change it up any way we want as long as we can still sort them, and because some people feel comfortable with that same old formula. And so as long as you're comfortable changing it up and getting them in the right order, they want us to do that as much as possible, which I think is great. Because it just keeps the horses so much better. Any other questions?
We'll have to bring.
No?
Hey.
Okay. Let's go ahead and load. Thank you, guys. Okay, both these horses are really good lopers. Like we talked about, this horse is just greener. This horse just needs to get a little more lift to him. He likes to get flat because he's quiet, but he's a very good loper. He's a really good jogger too. But like what she's doing, picking him up, he just needs a lot of that. He needs to come up into his wither and his shoulders, and then he wouldn't get so flat in the head carriage, and he'd actually lope even a little bit better. But he's a pretty darn good loper. And I'd like both riders to lean back a little bit, because remember, the horse can feel your body language. The center of gravity on the horse is like over his withers and into his heart curve. So the more you're over top of that, like the hunt seat, which is where you want to be to push them forward and have momentum, they're going to go more forward. If you keep yourself back, sometimes just a simple sitting back, and you'll feel the horse slow down underneath you. But the horse feels your body language. The other thing is when her reins, go ahead and lengthen your reins again.